Where is everyone? It's been a while since the last time we did a podcast of this kind of sort. I'm joined here this time by my compadre and major co-host Solar Elemental.
Spin!
Whenever you put that one, I can't help but think he's gonna fucking say spoon. He's gonna say spoon.
No, it's not spin!
Spoon. Okay, no. But yeah, no, again for the we're jumping into some bandwagons then this time. Where and let's start with the major one. I think that, or at least the one that most people are gonna be interested about, which is the Pokemon 25 anniversary stream. Um, I will first of all the major things that were brought up were I think four, which was the little animation anniversary sizzle reel, Pokemon Snap, and the next two major games, with one of them being the fucking thumbnail for this video. But let's just jump with the initial thoughts and to just kind of give you guys the idea of how the conversation is gonna go. Solar, what do you think of the direct and everything around it?
I mean, I was expecting them to do something because I around the time I saw a post that showed a lot of games getting like big anniversaries. Like this year, Halo's getting its 20th anniversary, Pokemon's getting its 25th, 30th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So there's I'm expecting a lot of like big announcements this year. So like I came into it kind of expecting big, but I mean I will say it's like I was not expecting them to actually go through with remaking Diamond and Pearl because I was just expecting them to go with the route of remaking just the sort of Game Boy generation and that being it, because the last of the Game Boy generation, the advanced stuff, was Gen 3. So, and Gen 4 was when they did the whole overhaul with the DS. Given that 3DS is a thing, 3DS can play things backwards compatibly with normal DS games. I thought
Yes.
they were just going to kind of leave that in the past, like they did with Art Gold and everything. Cause those are that's Gen 2's remake.
The major thing,
Um, but
go ahead, go ahead. My bad.
sorry, no, that's okay, dude. It but to see them actually go through with it, with thing, I just hope that this doesn't lead to them basically then remaking Gen 5. Like, I just feel like we're gonna go through the loop. We're gonna go in circles at this point. And so, I mean, granted, I think if they ever do 5, which I kind of, but if they do it, then I think that'll probably be the last one because I feel like X and Y is like, it, you can't really, you can't either than that.
there are major reasons behind. Again, don't quote me too much on that, but I remember that one of the major reasons why the remakes were even a thing is because of the whole transfer thing, the trading system of the Pokemon games. Like Fire and Red was made because there was really no way to transfer your Pokemon from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance, and the
Yeah.
same happened when starting to remake some of the games on the 3DS, because or majorly why they ported some of the Gen 1 and Gen 2 games into other systems, because now, with the generations passing by, the services were also being put in, ended up being put down. So technically, when Gen 3 got the remake, it was because now everything is compact into the DS slash 3DS. Therefore, now we need to give a proper
Yeah.
remake to those games, to that generation, in order to have people be able to play with those Pokemon. So
Yeah.
so this remake, and to be fair, it was kinda, I think it was, I don't know if it was at the same time as the Wii Online, but the DS Online also got shut down. So even though the DS, yeah, it's backwards
Yeah.
compatibility, but you can't quite transfer the Diamond and Pearl Pokemon into Sun and Moon, or in Sword and Shield if they're even available to begin with. Let's not get too much into that again. Um, so
Online, like the whole transfer system's off.
yeah, again, like there's no online connectivity
Oh,
anymore on the DS, so I can actually say like no, it was probably around
oh, I
that
didn't
time.
know that.
It
Damn.
was probably around that time where the remake was actually starting to be in development because now these Pokemon are kind of being forgotten, so let's actually do something about it. Let's actually do um like
Yeah,
but first of all, let's just start with the weird with the anniversary scissor reel. It was an interesting one, like because they like I think in terms of like covering everything from 25 years of in terms of like games and products, I think they did the best that they could. But it kind of tells you like yeah, this is how much of a fucking corporate shell Pokemon is. Like you have those you have those actual Tamagotchi stuff. You have the connectivity with cell phones. You have how Puzzle League was kind of its own thing. Like you're not just an N64 or game side thing. It was a full-on product that people tried to get something out of it. Um, like the Mystery
yeah,
Dungeon stuff, and even I think it was Pokemon Rangers, or I don't know. Like it's the one that Jaden Animations did that nobody actually that people didn't really know about. But again, it's extra stuff. And then we got into the whole Pokemon Snap thing, and people are kind of like I saw a few comments or a few reactions from people saying that that this is not what they were expecting because they felt that this is more interactive, like not interactive like but interactive, which I didn't even know what do they mean by that. Like because if it's like this is repetitive and stuff like yeah, that's what Pokemon Snap has always been. That's what you're literally
just
just
you just take pictures.
like if anything
We're
I like
Pokemon Peter Parker, and we gotta get pictures of Mew.
yeah like that's like you're really not doing anything special in those game in that game to begin with. So like however I will say I will take my time to talk about this with Pokemon Snap in particular. I am glad that this whole thing is starting to happen once again, like them pushing more content than just the generational games. um, like although,
Yeah, because it's.
mhm.
Sorry, I I thought my internet cut out for a moment. Um, it's definitely a kind of a big change because it kind of brings me back to a bit of the the early 2000s where Pokemon Company actually bringing out like multiple games like with Coliseum and Gale of Darkness and Mystery Dungeon, alongside the main generation. So I'm kind of glad they're going back to that. I mean, granted, hopefully in a healthy work management kind of way and that they're not stressing, but um, I'm kind of glad they're going back to that because like it's kind of Pokemon kind of needs more variety as of like because ever since I think X and Y, it's been it's been just generation, then the next generation, then next gen,
I think we
nothing
got
really in
I
between.
think we got one mystery dungeon game on the 3DS, but even then, don't really quote me too much about that. But once again,
Oh yeah, 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 we did.
like, but no, like,
You're right.
but you're still actually right. Like, there was a huge difference between the 3DS era, pretty much, where the biggest thing we had that wasn't a generational game was Pokken. Being like being completely real. Like Pokken was
Yeah.
a big deal, but there was that was the only deal. Well, I mean, technically, I mean, we also had Detective Pikachu, like, so, but again, like, there was a huge contrast between that and the GameCube era, or even the N64 era, where you had like the Stadium, Snap, and Puzzle League, and as well as Hey Pikachu. You want to count that one as well, but you also have on the GameCube.
And
Mhm.
I was also going to say the Pikachu TV game
Oh yeah, like
that.
Like TV Pikachu. I keep forgetting that was a thing. I always remember just the creepypasta about it, but whatever. um, but there was that one, and then on the Wii, we got. I think we there was one Stadium S kind of game, but it was just a battle simulator. Like instead of having mini games and stuff. Like but like things were starting to like get some form of decline console wise, but the DS was probably the one that had the most Pokemon variations out of all systems. If I think I could completely be wrong, but
Yeah.
like afterwards in at the Wii U again, we only got Pokken as well as Pokemon Snap, which I still stand that this Pokemon Snap was gonna be on the Wii U, but again, the N64 Virtual Console happened around the last 1 or 2 years of Pokemon of the Wii U's life cycle. So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if they had to rework things to be more fitting for the Switch. I'm pretty sure that it was gonna come out on the Wii U, but again the Switch happened, so they literally like it wasn't a matter like because some people say that oh Pokemon Snap was made because of the backlash of Sword and Shield. Like no, I think that they they had it in mind, but things happened. Like it wasn't just that simple. And I mentioned that for one
Yeah.
particular reason that I'm gonna get into later. Um, so once again, I'm glad that we got the Mystery Dungeon remake. Then we got a couple of mobile phones now being on the Switch as well. Because I honestly think that with the exception of Pokemon Go, because it was designed majorly for that mentality, I think Pokemon really just works better on console or on more proper devices, rather like on more
Yeah.
dedicated devices than mobile. Like that is one of the reasons why I really wish that Duel Links was on the Switch rather than just on fucking Steam, rather than just and mobile. um,
Yeah.
but again, that's its own sideways thing. But so far, what do you think of Snap? Like from what it looks like from.
It just kind of seems to me like an HD version of the original. But they're just trying to add like make it, I guess, also different, and also just so it's not completely repetitive of just on rails taking picture.
The
And
major
that's it.
the major thing I expect
But
is variety because one of the major things between like behind the major differences of Snap now and Snap back then, we're talking 8 generations, like around 8 generations worth of Pokemon.
yeah,
Like so how like I'm not expecting to see all 1000 executed. I don't think even Snap 1 had all 151. But I am definitely expecting that we get something made that we get a good variety in terms of environments, levels, and Pokemon composition in order to to make all the
hmm
pictures possible. Because at least in this direct, one of the major things is that now there's even gonna be ways to really share your photos uh, on social media and just create more of a bigger community with Snap nowadays. So how much I really don't I really wish we get at least 20 dedicated levels, like 20 unique levels, or at least more than the original
yeah.
5 or 4 if I recall.
hmm
um but like go on, you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Um, the I mean that's kind of for my like feedback of the thing because I've never really I was just more kind of shocked that they even brought um that they even brought back to begin with because it's like at this point expecting them to remake Hey You Pikachu.
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, no, it's like I'm sure it's probably be a game that I'll just like watch people play on Twitch. Not really my kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I get you. And then, all right, which one do you want to talk first? Do you want to talk about the one that
I
comes
think
next
before
year.
we get into the
Like like
nitty and gritty,
like no, because by this point we have two. Both of them are gonna end up like on us having a big fucking issue with a discussion. But so like, which one do you want to go into? Like the one that is actually ambitious, or the one that is a remake, or the
well, let's go into Legends.
okay, yeah. As my condescending tone just said, I am actually excited about this. Like this game,
Yeah, me too.
like on one, first of all, let's talk about the major negative. I hope this game comes up in 2022, but I'm talking like holiday, like the very late 2022, because
Hmm.
goddamn, does that feel like did that trailer look like an Unreal Engine demo, like the ones that you will see on YouTube?
Yeah, no, it's like I remember on Twitter that said like, "Oh my God, Nintendo finally hired him," and it's just a screenshot of Mario in Unreal 4.
Yeah, no, like, and I'm saying that because like performance wise, it didn't look terrible, like in terms of like movement and gameplay. But the environment is what looked terrible. So like there was one Pokemon that was literally two
Yeah.
keyframes in a tween, like just like quote unquote flying, and by that I mean again he was just like two keyframes just tweening in the environment, just two
Yeah.
like and as well as again some lighting genuinely looks like one of like a game demo. Like it looked like fucking Yandere Simulator the first demo, or Sonic Unreal Engine in a couple of again in demos that you will just find on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
it looked like it was. It definitely looked like, oh, this is alpha, close to becoming beta, like but still alpha.
Yeah.
Like,
I
however,
think
go
it's
ahead.
I just think that that I guess what they were trying to aim to do is just like with the whole thing. There's side game, there's Pokemon Snap. Here's the expected remake of Diamond and Pearl, and then here's the next big ambitious project, which is Legends. And so like I think they were more wanting to go for the teaser announcement, like just basically announcing it rather than like really wanting to show it off.
I will at least
Um,
say that like again keeping the
so
like.
I
Go ahead.
It's okay. I was going to say that. So I think I think they'll manage to polish it, especially if it's just coming out. Or it'll probably be the November title. So yeah,
I really hope
plenty of
so.
time.
I really hope so because, like again, Pokemon is the biggest company in the world, but once again, you can't just buy time. Like time moves no matter how much money you have. So
Yeah,
again, I do not want to see that game being rushed in any sense of capacity, because
yeah,
remember when people were said like again, I never really supported that idea because the games themselves have a different sense of scale and mechanics and things to it, like like. But remember when
Mhm.
people were saying that they were expecting Breath of the Wild with Pokemon Sword and Shield? I think they took that criticism to heart. I think they took
Oh man,
like
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna first of all let's just start with that comparison. Even as someone that has been notorious for not being very supportive in any sense of capacity of Sword and Shield, I think it's the like it's not the worst Pokemon game, but it's the most anti-consumer Pokemon game I have seen in a while, like in a very long time for reasons that
yeah,
I'll get in a bit. But the game but Legends feels like, yeah, no, this looks like somebody genuinely took to heart the criticism of saying that we wanted Breath of the Wild in this Pokemon game, and said like, okay, I'm giving you fucking Breath of the Wild here, open world, you can fucking shoot a Pokemon, fucking shoot, like, well, like shoot Pokeballs, but fucking shoot, like,
yeah,
once again, I can't say so much about the environment, but at least again the way they're compositing the game, it looks really good. I am way more excited
yeah,
about this game than I have been on any other Pokemon game ever since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Um,
yeah.
like well,
I
okay,
it's
but that's not quite fair. I did enjoy X and Y for what it was worth. But again, no, sorry, go on.
Hmm. That's okay. It's definitely really good on at least its ambition, which it's like again, it takes me back to the ambition that they had with making Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, and the older like Mystery Dungeon kind of games.
Mhm.
And like even Conquest, like I've not I've never played any of the Conquest games, but I've seen gameplay of them and they look really good actually.
Yeah. Also, once again, as a Monster Hunter fan, I'm really also thinking that Game Freak just kind of like looked at Monster Hunter Rise being all Japanese, and they're like, "No, we can do that. We can do like, well, okay, not so much Japanese, but like that folk, like kind of folkloric Asian culture. Like I can see
Yeah.
like for sort I don't want to go too much into that, but apparently just everybody wants to be the one arc from One Piece nowadays, like Monster Hunter and Pokemon at least. Most like I don't know, man, but again, like the mere factor of like
Seal the
no,
deal.
you can travel like this is a this is probably the closest we're gonna like because I see the game and I'm like, this is what happens when Pokemon Go is an actual game. This is what, like or like instead of a mobile
Mhm.
time killer, like again, I'm not trying to minimize mobile gaming. I know it's been getting better with each passing time. With Genshin Impact being the pinnacle of that nowadays, I think. Um, but with the way things are looking, like like you can just travel across and catch Pokemon, as well as if you get into battle, like you can still do those battles, maybe for the sake of catching them or just for fighting. Like catching and fighting is now both their own dedicated things. At least from what this looks like. Once again, we're gonna have plenty of time to keep discussing about this, but I was actually fucking excited, and this is probably like and given the fact that they're at least putting a limit in terms of the kind of the environment that they're settled, because it's really odd that they really stuck for making this whole thing Gen 4 dedicated. Like you can clearly tell that the
Mhm.
at least the female character like is done again. Like is done in a more
Yeah.
Japanese or again sorry if I know I'm the biggest racist out there, but like with the more Asian folklore rather than just anime style.
Yeah, it definitely has a different vibe to it, which is a good thing.
hmm Like and there's also that like I do prefer that they are keeping it to this, but again like Pokemon Legends Arceus, like is that like is Arceus gonna be the Calamity Ganon of this game? Like are you like okay you have to prepare to fight God, so here's the environment, catch
I
Pokemon
mean,
and beat the fuck out of him and beat the fuck.
if we're talking about RPG rules, now we're talking. Now it can't be an RPG without you fighting some form of god.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's fucking fair. Like you can be an RPG
But
without beating up God in some form, without being.
yeah. But yeah, no, it was kind of odd to me. It's like I was expecting to like announce like a different version then, but no, it's just like Arceus. Like, oh, okay.
hmm Like which once again,
So
in that
where's Miss
silhouette,
Garatina?
like in the silhouette that they made specifically, and you're like, yeah, that's a fucking llama in a fence. That's a fucking. That's a fucking. Like could you imagine if they have actually gone at least for this particular game, like to actually gone with the original design? Like the fog,
Oh
like the
God.
foggy design.
Yeah.
Again, like, and I'm pretty sure that no, we cannot do that because we're already doing the open world. We can't do a foggy character and just pretend that this is not Breath of the Wild again. No. Just um,
Arceus regresses and it's just like no. Oh, so this is what he looks like when he's evil. He looks giant fog.
you know what? Probably I'm gonna fucking end up doing a fucking meme related to that. But uh, with that said, like again, my major like again, we don't know too much about the game. Also, but once again, like they're clearly crossing over the generations. I don't know. Again, I'm still thinking that they're limiting, God damn it, limiting it. There we go. Fucking nailed it. to 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 the to the first four generations, like to everything up to Gen 4 in terms of
Mhm.
like the Pokemon that you can encounter. Because I mean, for oh no, no, never fucking mind. Because the starters are Cyndaquil, Oshawott, which I still remember the meme of Revolver Oshawott from Metal Gear, um, and the little bird that you can get in Sun and Moon. Actually, yeah, like I forgot that so again, like how much Pokemon are they actually working on? Because I think after Sword and Shield, they're gonna stick to the mentality of limit of keeping only a certain amount of Pokemon. Fuck it. Like I'm not using all 1,000, but now with more spin-offs, we're actually gonna start seeing them split across different games. Oh, you want a game with Pikachu? Like if you play Pokemon because of your specific Pokemon, with your specific creature, this is the game that you want to play. If you're caring about the generation system, play the Gen games. And if you want everything in one package, you can suck on my Diglett, you fucking bitch. You fucking. You,
Bop.
uh, like I don't know, like because this game, again, if they couldn't even be bothered to add every Pokemon in Sword and Shield, I am not even gonna expect them doing this for Legends. Like, or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I yeah, that is a fair thing. Like I think the optimization when it comes to frame rate and stuff, I think will probably fix that. But in terms of environments and looking, you know, as it did, I'm keeping my expectations very low on that
Mhm.
because yeah, no, what happened field places in Sword and Shield was a travesty.
Yeah, look, again, oh my god, again, I'm gonna get into that in a bit. I fucking promise. Um, but the major thing, at least for me in this situation, is that, and again, if this is the direction that they're going by this point, then yeah, I do prefer them going to this because, again, the whole cutting out Pokemon, yeah, it was a change of the formula, like that people were not just ready to deal with it or to live by it, like at least that immediately.
Yeah,
However, if they're gonna commit to it, at least I hope that this is the one game that does really well because, um, again, I didn't mind the cutting out of Pokemon. I would definitely suck that I couldn't get to play with some of my favorites, like because again, yeah, like people can complain to me that oh Charizard is still technically in the game, but like yeah, but not Charmander or Charmeleon. Like the reason why I love Charizard is because he is
yeah,
the reason why people love Charizard is because they love the development of the whole process. Like you cannot love Charizard without loving Charmeleon or Charmander, or at least not for me. If you like, at least if you ask me. um,
yeah,
so again, that was still a bummer no matter what. But even with that said, like I still think that if they're gonna commit to it, I want them to like just commit to it, like to not succumb to that or try to make justifications that do not actually apply. Because once again, one of the major problems was that every excuse that they well, not yeah no, like it is because every excuse that they made ended up being debunked immediately. Like oh
Yeah.
it's for adding new models. It was the new models. Boom, newsflash. The models are the ones on the 3DS. Boom, like we're doing this in animations. Boom, now like the rabbits double kick. Boom, boom, like 2 jumps and that's it. Two
Yep.
jumps. Like again, when your arguments are just debunked, then you're losing a lot of things. Like you could have just said like, no, this is the new direction we're taking. We are sorry for those that care about that specific aspect of Pokemon. Like at least that way you will have owned up to it. Say, given the fact that in this environment you were not gonna please anybody, like or at least you were not gonna please everybody. We have said this multiple times throughout the Gray Line show that you just cannot please everybody, and you need to live with that. Like it's better to live with that idea.
Yeah.
It's better, um, and just do what you really want to do and do it the best way possible. But once again,
Mm.
like just to let you guys know, Pokemon Legends is gonna be the one game we're gonna be talking about the most. At least I'm gonna be making videos about this one the most and just showing
Hmm.
my excitement for it because I'm not gonna say that this is what Sword and Shield should have been because this is definitely a completely new direction in order to like even be considered a next gen game from what it seems. But this is the kind of Pokemon that I've been wanting to play since Gale of Darkness. Uh, like I've been wanting to like
Hmm.
really add something more to the formula without changing it for those that are willing to live in the same bubble no matter how long. Like you can keep those in that environment and still make new things. That's what I loved about Pokemon in the 2000s that they were willing to take all the risks because they had the money and resources for it. Like to get the team and just build and
Yeah.
have and make the fucking corporate shell that it is today. But like, there's a reason. Although the only thing that came out as, like as an expense was that the anime made no fucking sense afterwards. Like you had Pokemon Chronicles. You had like 4 different versions of Pokemon of the Gen 3 anime and Gen 4. like so there was just a certain
Yep.
point where like okay where the fuck am I left off? Where the fuck? Um, like what?
What year is it?
Yeah, like by this point, like what year is it? It's 2021. Oh, thanks, ma'am. Did you just assume my gender? What? Did you just awkward joke aside, let's get into something more awkward. Gen 4 remake. Once again, as we said at
The
the
big
beginning of
one.
as we said at the beginning of the podcast, it makes sense why now is the time to do it. The connectivity or all the features that were in Gen 4, the original, are pretty much gone. Like you can only properly do them through emulation or just means that are not the proper ones or the ones that Game Freak allows you to have. So let's start
Hmm.
with the first part. Like, what do you think of the art style?
I think it's. I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, I've seen some. Uh, this isn't the only one. My comparisons with
Link's
what
Awakening.
was the Link's Awakening remake and
Let
how
me guess.
that
You watched
uh
let me guess. You watched the X and Shadow tweet.
uh that and also like just other people were too, but um it's also that it's also me seeing that I think well granted the lighting seems a lot better in Link's Awakening, but in Link's Awakening, oh the this is just a personal opinion for me, but in the Link's Awakening remake, I didn't like how everything looked very plastic. Like there's so much gloss everywhere,
hmm
and like just things just look really plasticky. So for this sort of art style, for at least the overworld stuff, where there should be based in the original sprite work instead of being uh, in it like with like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I don't really mind it because it's just I more it's more of a it's more being faithful to the original, and plus like here's my main argument. It would be one thing if the characters were chibi throughout the whole entire thing, like if they were chibi in battles, they're all fully scaled and everything. They're just chibi in the overworld, which I
Yeah.
don't mind at all because it's essentially the same thing with sprite work. But people seem to just forget about that fact and just think everything is horrible chibi.
All right. I'm not gonna deny it. I would have loved to have Gen 4, like mostly because again, graphical like in terms of presentation, Gen 4 was actually really beautiful in a lot of areas, and also very risky in others. Like again, the dimension area with Giratina, which once again, well, there's also that like we didn't see anything related to Giratina. We didn't see, to granted, we didn't see anything related to Rayquaza either in
Mm-hmm.
the 4 trailers of Gen 3, getting the remake, but again, that caught my attention. Um, I will say that, like, oh yes, Link's Awakening looked very plastic in some areas, but again, it's one of those points where like the both of them are clearly having their own different styles, because it will be one thing, like it will be worth having the comment about if it wasn't for the fact that no, like these characters are chibi. Meanwhile, Link's Awakening genuinely felt like it was trying to be toys, like it was trying to be
Yeah.
a toy box where you will be able to play. Like everything looked like a toy, and I don't say it. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that in a negative aspect. Like I genuinely love that aesthetic because it also feels with the whole illusion aspect of Link's Awakening as a whole that has in terms of plot. So there is that
Yeah.
element. But this one, it genuinely like it doesn't feel quite right. Like I feel like they could improve in some areas to make the chibi be taken like be used to its full advantage rather than just be chibi for the sake of being chibi, especially when they still went out of their way to make the models for the battle stuff. Like that's the major
Yeah.
difference. Like some people say that CGI is cheaper to make because to an extent like it is in the sense that the most expensive thing is making it, and everything else you can now just use the model at your will, like to be more like it's easier to make characters stretch once they're made in CG than it is to do it with hand drawn or sprite quality, because in that one it's still frame by frame creating the drawing or altering it, while in CG, like once you make it, now you can start working through it. um, with
Mhm.
that said, with that said, that it is the reason why I have my issue. Like you went out your way to make this 3D model, and you're gonna limit the use of it. Like that is a little off. Like in terms of like the
Yeah.
use of your resources for the sake of a stylistic choice that, to be fair, people were not necessarily complaining about the models. How can I put it? Like it wasn't the fact that people wanted them to look like sprite games for Sword and Shield. They just wanted the game to have more life to it in terms of colors, backgrounds, things happening on screen. Like that's what they wanted. It wasn't so much a matter of like, oh, we want things to look pretty much like they were in Sprite, but in 3D. Like no. If anything, we're now in an era where CG, at least in America, is still oversaturated. It's still um, compared to other forms of
Yeah.
animation. But again, that's the part that definitely caught my attention. That you went out your way to make those two versions of the models. You, Game Freak of all people, are gonna take that fucking risk. Who is known to always have coding issues. 100 Lily models missing no
Yeah,
like just like I don't know, man.
never. Yeah, but that's again why like, I don't mind it because the fact that they made models for like full scale models of trainers for at least the battle animations means that they did have the option of going that route of making proportioned trainers in the overworld, but they chose not to. They chose to make two separate versions, which honestly means kind of more work for them. Uh, but they did that because I assume to be, I guess, faithful to the original. For the whole sprite aspect.
I mean, it's just that that's the thing. Like, I don't think like again, it's an stylistic choice, and I don't care how many showcases of the grass being very squarey in comparison to other games you show me. Like, the game doesn't look bad. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And when
Yeah.
and when telling me that, oh, look at the grass in Link's Awakening compared to the grass in Pokemon, this is terrible. You're like, no, it's fucking grass. Fuck off. I'm sorry, this is not that worth being picky about. Like, at least you're gonna try to convince me about this. Give me something that I can actually give a fuck. I'm sorry. like, give me
Yeah,
better
that's
reasons to criticize, especially because I'm gonna start bringing this major aspect because again, this is the one game that shows me that bigger issue. Like, I understand having a certain amount of expectations for Pokemon, given the fact that it's one of, if not the biggest company in the world, probably even bigger than Disney, bigger than Nintendo, bigger than a lot of them, because apparently everything they
mhm.
do gives them at least some profit in return. Like, it's very rare when they make something out of a loss. Um,
Yeah,
like hell, when they made Pokemon Go, even Nintendo got a raise in their stock. So again, like Nintendo, like Pokemon
yeah,
on its own is a big deal. So I understand like expecting the very best, like nothing has ever been, for the company that has managed to get your money more times than once. So
yeah,
so I like especially because especially because compared to some of their more direct competitions, they have been very lackluster in some areas for in terms of pleasing their fans. A good example of this is Yu-Gi-Oh, who is trying to like appeal more for the casual player. The best example that I can give you, again, for if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, you'll understand why this is a big deal. But in June, like in summer, we're getting structure decks for the Egyptian gods, like structure decks for the gods, which is a big
oh yeah, I
deal.
remember you sent me that.
Like, and again, the reason why I mentioned this is a big deal because back then, like the gods have been around for at least 15 years. I could easily be wrong, but it's been over a decade since the god cards have been a thing. And the biggest problem of them is that they're really cool. You want to use them, but you cannot use them. They're awful. Like they were awful cards to use. So and last year they did this. They did structure decks to pull off the sacred beast, like from Yu-Gi-Oh GX. Like, so they're really trying to appeal to those, like, to the fan service after decades. To be fair, but they're putting the effort on doing that because they know that's what people want. They want to use these cool monsters that were really meaningful in their childhoods. Yet when you're actually playing the games, they're not the best cards to have. In fact, you're gonna hate them because you love them, yet you
Yeah,
cannot use them without making yourself a loser in the game. Like in Pokemon, once again,
yeah,
they've been on a very safety bubble since Gen 5, like since Black and White. I am one of those elites that think that Black and White was their last time of really taking risk, up until now with Legends. Like, because X and Y, I love that game probably like more than some people will say I should. But But although fuck you, I love Serena. She's my favorite protagonist. Fuck you. Um,
I
like, but she
mean,
that
she's
that
pretty up there.
yeah again. So with that like I but with that said, it was still a game that got things a little bit too safe with just one gimmick that made it special. It was the Mega Evolutions, which was a big deal for a lot of people, and to this day, I still love Mega Evolutions. And but again, it was just a pattern after another, like with the Mega Evolutions, then the C moves for Sun and Moon, and then Gigantamax. But the games have been consistent at being the same thing. With Sword and Shield be the biggest offender for me because the game definitely could have been better, and the only way they managed to make it better is by charging you fucking $180 for it. Like so, like I will never for like again I will never buy the game. I managed to play Sword and Shield thanks to Mickey who bought the game, and he has game sharing his Nintendo Switch account with me. So I got the chance to play it. It's fun. It's probably the out of this of that main trifecta, it's probably the most accessible Pokemon game. Period. Like it has a lot of cool things and a lot of good ideas, and the fact that and at the end of the day, when once you realize that you don't have to spend a fucking medical college time worth of finishing the Pokédex, it's actually really fun. Like again, there are pros under the decisions that they made, with the only exception being that they made the DLC also version exclusive. Like that is the major point where I said I'm fucking done with Pokemon. Like I'm fucking done with Pokemon and Game Freak and Pokemon Company's bullshit on doing the whole split version shit. Like it's very
Yeah.
anti-consumer, and it doesn't help that in order to finish your fucking Pokédex, like at least now you had to buy the game twice as well as the DLC twice. Like I'm sorry, that is
Yeah.
like is the smartest fucking thing, but it's also the biggest middle finger I have seen from a company ever since Blizzard existed. With Overwatch. Um, so again, those issue of better said is the biggest middle finger that I have seen since Red Dead Online, if you ask me. But that's a different story. That's a different.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
so, but here's the problem with all of this. Like I can bring major things that I want from Diamond and Pearl remake. First of all, I want them to not be the Sword and Shield problem. I don't want DLC for Diamond and Pearl at all. Like it will be super bullshit. Like I don't. I will be super bullshit to have a platinum DLC that will also be fucking limited. Uh, so like for the sake of having Giratina as its own thing, like I generally just don't want that. And majorly, like
Yeah.
as well as uh, maybe improve, like maybe improve a couple of areas to make it look even more beautiful rather than just 3D, like just a transition into 3D. I want them to utilize the 3D to its full, the CGI to its full effect. Like, and I'm talking about proper lighting and more. Majorly, yeah, like lighting and composition. Like I want the game to be more alive, even in areas like the forest that they showed that is all dark. Like yeah, but even in areas like that, you can have extra layers of shadow and lighting effects in order to like make it feel more alive or more fitting to the
Mhm.
emotion that you're trying to provoke. Um, like it's just a matter of like adding more to it, like adding more visual elements to it. That will be my major thing. However, let's be fucking real. It doesn't matter how much we criticize Pokemon. It doesn't even matter if the audience criticize Pokemon. They're gonna fucking buy the game. Like, and I'm sorry, it is
Yeah.
a
No.
big
It's
deal
like,
for me. Nowadays, it is a big deal for me because Sword and Shield, in some areas rightfully, in other areas were definitely unfair, got a lot of backlash for what it was, for how it was performing, for just the fucking mess that it was showing to be. And I'm saying that in terms of like, it is not like a Cyberpunk 2017 like 2077 situation where the game was unplayable once you play it, once you got it. No, everyone knew that the game was not gonna be the best thing ever, or that it wasn't gonna be worthy of being considered a console Pokemon game since the trailers. Like, people were complaining before the game came out. People were acknowledging the criticism and having backlash and backlash against the backlash and just so on and so forth. How is that still the fastest selling Pokemon game in years? And one of the best and one of
Yeah,
the
no,
best Nintendo Switch games being sold.
you know, it's like, you know, there's so many people like parading that they were not gonna like buy it, and then it turns out to be the best selling
Like the fastest
ever.
and you will say, well, that minority, well, that people were not the ones that bought it. Like, no, it was. That's the biggest reason why I am this cynical towards the Pokemon fan base. Like, whether you criticize or whether you are actually in love with Pokemon, like, or you're like, take me Lucario and make me your furry prisoner, like, whether you're like that or you're actually in the sense of like, no, this is not worth the price, this is not worth your time, this is not worth, and you buy it anyway. Like, I'm sorry, but what are you trying? What are you telling to Pokemon Company that they can do whatever and you're gonna buy shit anyway? And you're like,
Yeah.
it really becomes to the point where like you're gonna buy it anyway. No, like, so to the point where your criticism, like, where like some people say that, oh, criticism doesn't matter. Like, it only stops mattering when you don't care about your own words, which is like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you can say whatever about me, like still playing the game. I didn't put a single nickel to it. I am grateful for Mickey who bought it, and I hope that he enjoyed it. But I didn't for a single second thought that Sword and Shield was worth of my money. So I found my ways to play it in order to like have an actual thought on the game. But I still didn't put money on it, and I'm sorry. And you say, well, you're just a hater. No, I will buy Pokemon Legends because I want Pokemon to take risk, and I wanted to keep variety instead of just putting generation after generation to the point where it's not actual generations, it's just a yearly release. Like, that's the major thing.
Yeah.
Like, it says a lot when apparently 25 years make 8 generations. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like that those are my major points. So I'm only sick about the backlash because the backlash means nothing even to them. Like, even like apparently even those that criticize the game don't take themselves seriously. So why should other people take them seriously when they're buying the shit that they say is not good? And I'm saying that, and again, I'm not saying that for those that were genuinely excited and end up being disappointed. No, I'm talking about those that went out of their way to genuinely say that, no, this is not a game worth buying. This is not a game worth doing. Like, during the time of trailers, like, that they were really sure that this game was not worth the time and price of admission, and bought it anyway at launch. Like, that is, like, again, everybody has the right to do what they want, but if you don't take yourself seriously, or at least you don't take your criticism seriously, why should I take it? Why should I take your criticism seriously when even you don't take yourself that seriously? Even when... So like is that's the thing, like, oh, like Diamond and Pearl, like, you're gonna buy it anyway. Don't try to fool each other. And the day you don't buy it because you actually don't think a cheap product is not worth your money and time, like, then yeah, like, you have all my respect, and like, as an audience for me, for criticism in media. But if you're supporting the things that you say are not good, then once again, I respect you like a human being, but don't really expect me to take you seriously. To take you, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it really does become a matter of that. At least Sonic, even people that bought Sonic 06 thought that it was gonna be good. Like Pokemon is the only fan base that I have really seen where people buy things they know they're not gonna like, and I do mean that
Yeah.
in with a strong heart because those that bought Sonic Forces generally wanted it to be good or are actually thinking that it is good. People that bought Sonic 06 after it came out were at least buying it for the fucking morbid curiosity. Like they were unironically saying like, "Oh, I love how bad this thing is, and I love breaking it apart." And like, okay, that's
Yeah.
again, at least you're being honest with yourself instead of saying like, "No, this game is not good. Give me give me the 2 copies and the DLC. That will be $200. There you
Yeah.
go." No, that will be too. Like, would you like the Pokeball that can only be played with the fucking Pokemon games? Yes, that will be another 100. Like again, it's just that element. Like Diamond and Pearl, I will probably play it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna spend money on it, but again, like it is what it is. And now in the case of the actual game, I hope that the battle system is actually faster. Like if we're actually going into into expectations for the game, because I think out
Yeah.
of all the generations, Pokemon like Gen 4 was considered the slower in terms of battle system.
Yeah.
So like, but I already went on my fucking rant once again about why Sword and Shield is the worst thing Pokemon Company has ever done. But what are your thoughts on the remake, and expectations for
So,
it? And
I mean, the we were talking about there is like with the the whole thing that was mainly criticized about Gen 4 was the battle speed. I think they'll definitely fix that with this remake. So I'm not really worried about that. Like I'm fine with this because like again it's just I feel like it's another Link's Awakening situation because it's like um when Link's Awakening was remade
also, I
it
want to point
was
out that if you like Link's Awakening now, then why the fuck were you complaining about being $60? Or you were? I'm saying, I'm just saying, make out your mind, people.
yeah, that price tag was yikes. But but it's just the more that I look at it, it's like it reminds me of just Link's Awakening, where it's just they're more remaking it based off the sprite work, rather than like full fledged like full 3D models. And the thing is, and with the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire remakes, they sort of went in between. Like they were going with X and Y proportions, and you can't remember the response to that of how
I
that
mean,
was.
I mean,
But
people did
I was
like it.
fine
Like
with it.
no matter what too much water means to you. Like according to IGN, like Omega Ruby, Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were considered good games. Like they were considered like I know overall improvements over the main title, like over the original titles.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No. But like with that sort of that that change in style that different kind of style for the remake is not really unheard of. That's what they did for Gen 3, what they did for Link's Awakening. It's just kind of commonplace for that to happen. I like people when you think remake of a game, you think basically just the same game, but as if it was made today. You think Spyro Reignited Trilogy, you think Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, you think those kinds of upscales.
Hmm.
Um, and so I can understand people that are like, they would want it, basically just to see Diamond and Pearl if it was just made in current age
Yeah,
technology and nothing else.
because again to be
But
once again being a little fair, the worlds or the aesthetic that they had for Gen 4 was really good. Once again, I cannot stress enough how much of an
yeah,
impact does Giratina world make to you. So the major thing that people wanted, because at the end of the day, like once again, like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire definitely push the 3DS to its limits. Like you can definitely tell in that regard.
Yeah.
So like they and
Mm.
I will definitely admit that just like Sword and Shield, fuck that game. Like this game doesn't quite feel like it just feel like a clean, like a very clean 3DS game, like with none of the pixelation that the lower resolution will give to you. Like once again, I do
Yeah.
think my expectations are for them to really take advantage of the worlds that they make. Like the Gen 4 is not a bad looking it doesn't have bad looking environments at all. So I really hope that they really push that to its limits. Well, not so much push the Switch to its limits, but like to really make it feel like it's taking advantage of all of the graphical potential that a Pokemon game, even with chibi style, can make.
Yeah. And it's definitely that I think that with what they've done with the graphics and everything, like I've seen people are I saw a post that got like a lot of like retweets and everything. So I guess so consider it I consider it that way being a lot of people, but a lot of people thinking like, oh, it looks like a mobile game or whatever, and it's just like, is that all that matters? Like, I mean, I get it, remake, you kind of expect the graphics to look better, but at the same time, we live in an age where the Nintendo DS servers are down, and so you can't really transfer any of your Gen 4 Pokemon. So this is our new way to do that now, and just these people still acting like graphics or everything like we're in the freaking mid 2000s.
Like or like don't even get me started on that part because once again, I don't think the game looks bad at all. Like like
Yeah.
it could definitely look way better. Like even with the chibi style and the things that they have, like I can once again easily say like go add a bit more lighting. Just have make the visuals have a lot more to it, like a lot more color and maybe shading it. Like that's the difference between 2D and 3D. Like you can add more elements to it without oversaturating yourself, Yamamoro. Um, like you can just create a lot more things to it without making it look awful. Like once again, like they're because once again people are going like, oh, you can like just look at Link's Awakening. Like adding this sort of lighting and shading can be beneficial. Like. And yeah, like, may I remind you of fucking Sonic Adventure that did the exact same thing and didn't go well, didn't go. So,
Yeah.
then it is a matter of direction and execution. So again, the visual aspects can definitely be better, but this does not make my eyes hurt.
Yeah.
I honestly
Yeah.
don't think this is a big deal, while still being something worth giving feedback. Well, like I can at least
Yeah.
put that
No.
middle ground. I can at least.
It says something that that when I looked at Twitter, like I see, like one of the top trending things on Twitter was the whole stuff with the remake and everything. It was like over 100,000 tweets, and it's just like a big civil war between people that like it and people that don't, and just making their own posts and everything. It's like, God, I I feel like I feel like I'm back in the whole Sword and Shield debacle again.
I mean, again,
And
the Sword and Shield debacle. Once again, even I am sure that some of my complaints are not even the ones that people were having with the debacle, because once again, the
mm,
major point that made me not give a fuck about, oh, thank you Game Freak or any kind of support towards Pokemon Company in the slightest was the DLC. Like the fact that it was separate as well. Like that's where I was like, yo, you can go fuck yourself. You can go. Like I'm sorry.
yeah,
Like I'm not gonna harass anybody, but I'm also not gonna say that I respect you for making this particular thing. But like I'm sorry. Like like I will
yeah,
at least say right now I respect Pokemon Company once more with just their fucking remake than I ever did for for them making Sword and Shield.
mm,
Like but again, I don't hate Sword and Shield just because oh fuck Pokemon. No, I hate Sword and Shield because it's everything that's wrong with Pokemon nowadays. It's very corporate, very
Yeah,
manipulative, and all about making as much money as possible as soon as possible.
yeah,
Mm, but enough Sword and Shield shit talking, even though I know I'm the one doing it. Like, once again, I am excited for all these three things, but Legends is the one that, once again, I'm hoping that it's on the late 2022, or even, once again, I wouldn't mind a delay, like at all, if I'm really honest.
hmm
But I am glad that this is a thing, that these three games are being a thing. That we're getting that instead of
yeah,
getting Gen 5 already on the works, uh, or Ultra Sword, Ultra Shield, whatever, or like Sword and Shield Definitive Edition, so you don't have to buy the DLC again. Um, like the like that they're focusing on. Okay, we're gonna give you your remakes, your spin-offs, and your risky thing, and your experiment that we're working on before jumping into the next thing. And maybe one day we'll get another Puzzle League, even if it's a free to play game or whatever. Like, again, to just have more things beyond just the gen stuff, because I can at least say that in between X and Y all the way through Sword and Shield, we definitely needed more stuff like that. Like, we could have definitely been able to like cut at least one of those three games in between generation
yeah.
gaps. Like, because again, the 3DS is probably the no, actually no, I'm very wrong. Um, although no, like, I think the 3DS is the one that has the more Pokemon Gen games. Like, because you had like X and Y, uh, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They sold it as a
X and
fully
Y.
dedicated game, so I'm taking it like that. And Ruby and Sapphire,
Yeah,
and between that we only got
yeah,
one Mystery Dungeon game, and Pokken. Not
yeah. 3DS was a big home for Pokemon.
like for at least, but no. Like, I also say that the DS was a bigger one because again, that one had Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Black and White, and Black and White 2. You had those three,
Yeah,
and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. That's four. But in between that, we also had like I can at least be sure that we got a lot more Pokemon spin-offs and side things in the DS during the DS
yeah, you're
era.
right. You're Yeah,
Meanwhile,
no, you're right. We had like three Mystery Dungeon games, Ranger games. Yeah,
mhm.
there's there was a lot.
So at least again, there's just that factor of you need to, like, for a series that has so much variety. There was a time where it was just the generation games. Like, when things could have, like, or at least that was their major thing, instead of trying to mix it up a little more. So I'm at least happy that the Switch on its own right now has remakes, Mystery Dungeon, uh, Generation, a new experiment. Like, it has a lot of the other things that made the GameCube, Wii, and DS era so much more interesting, in terms of Pokemon. But
This definitely seems like a really good direction, like that they're going now. Because like, yeah, with friggin' like, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and the whole thing with Sword and Shield, it seemed like they were kind of going down the sort of like corporate, just the minimum kind of thing. But with what they're going for, with making Snap and the Snap remaking Diamond and Pearl, and going the extra mile to make different models for the overworld and battle, and then going full out with making a whole original idea with Legends.
mhm,
They're definitely going a bit more on the ambitious and extra effort side, which is a good thing.
yeah. And with that, yeah, like, I think the 1 hour 9 minute mark is enough. But what, like, it should go without saying. But once again, like, what do you guys think of all these other games, or just the overall environment that Pokemon is in? We definitely have some more to say about the environment outside than the games themselves. But again, that's kind of what happens when the community is the one that makes
When Twitter decides to explode.
yeah, I mean, that's also that. But again, Pokemon has built itself through the community, so that it does matter. So with that, thank you so much for listening to us, and take care.
Bye.